Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my Bubba Iron.
So, Nick, what do you want to talk about?
There's quite a few things to talk about today. That is for sure. We knew this day was going to be pretty loaded. A lot of stuff to get on it. And listen, we're going to forewarn you, it's probably going to run a little bit long. It is quite possible.
I never saw this coming. I'll tell you what. And on top of it, last night when I was trying to get my side of the show prepared and get what I needed to know to talk about it today, I never thought the source material that I would go look at was so many different places. Variety magazine, Forbes magazine. I've looked at Forbes before for WB stuff. The Pat McAfee show was that Nick Khan interview was wonderful. Thank you for turning me on to that, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Look, I'm a huge Pat fan, and we're going to get into some of that. But look, before we get started, a couple layers we're going to do. I want to discuss first. We're going to go out of order. We're going to talk some of the indie stuff first. But before we get there, we always want to tell you, make sure you are subscribing either to the YouTube channel, like it, turn your notifications on, subscribe, all that. You guys, hopefully you know the steps by now. Make sure you're doing it on YouTube. If you want to become a Patreon member over at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, I strongly suggest it. Some of that new audio stuff that we talked about Heath joining us and some of that stuff being added. So some of that stuff's coming out there, and it will be exclusive or way early. Again, that's patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Even because I was telling somebody, even the stuff that comes out, I think I'm minimum going to make it a week. So it's going to sit there behind the paywall for at least a week or so. And it discusses a lot of stuff, indie, more than anything. And so let's start there, Myron.
Well, but think about it. If you get this show today, we record it hot off the presses. You got to get the show a day before anyone else gets it. And right now is the hottest news time pretty much in wrestling history.
Yeah. And listen, I've also had conversations. If you saw my post the other day about podcasting with a drunk kangaroo driving the car, I'm going to leave that there. That was shared in a couple of places about who that is. I think that probably is going to become a thing. I'm going to get back in the car with a drunk kangaroo driving. So
I'd love to do some more interviews, some constructive stuff, especially with younger wrestling talent and people who are up and coming doing different things in the wrestling business. That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, it's going to be some cool stuff for sure. Look, let's go ahead and, like I said, we're going to go out of order a little bit, talk about what we did this weekend before we dive into all of the big news, because that stuff's going to probably last a while.
Yeah.
Look, I had a death in the family. Actually, the sad part was I had a viewing and a death in the family, so literally all weekend. So I did not make the Saturday Southern Fried show, which you did make. Yes. I heard they crushed it, obviously, from you, a lot of the feedback that you had. So
Friday night, we didn't get to make it down to Action because they sold out. We were just assuming we could go get some tickets at the door like most wrestling shows, but they sold out. Congratulations to Action Wrestling. Great venue down there in Fayetteville, a brewery. They're doing one of those brewery shows, very successful. I think that's a wave for a lot of wrestling programs. I think you're going to start seeing more independent wrestling shows running at breweries. It's a win-win attraction type thing, and it's indoors. Okay? Yeah. Indoor wrestling shows cut down on a lot of variables like cold and rain, especially when you're getting paid to put it on.
Look, they do great. Look, Matt Griffin crushes it, on a regular basis. They're putting on great shows at Action Wrestling, and look, again, that one was on us. We just assumed we were going to be able to go down there. And when they posted that they were sold out, so hey, look, next time we won't make that mistake. But then, like I said, you went to Southern Fried on Saturday.
Southern Fried was a blast. I really, really try to never miss Southern Fried. You get such good, local feeling. 400 plus people in that building. It was cold and miserable. 20 degrees in the building was nice and warm and comfortable. You feel like you're at home. Your best friends are all around. People you see at every show. You got a lot of great matches. The 4-way tag match was great. Seeing the heel managers Tristan and Xander getting into a little scuffle in that. It was so good to see CB Suave working again.
I
Man,
hear we're going to see more of him
yeah,
over the
he
in the
tore it
next
up,
few
and Nick
weeks.
Kalen is so good working with him. Looking forward to seeing more CB Suave. Levin Marcus, Alexander Levin, Marcus Cross is going to be a phenomenal angle. I think it's going to really, really continue to help elevate Alexander Lev. The women had a hardcore match, Falls Count Anywhere, and God Almighty, Crystal will bleed. Jesus Christ, Crystal Rose is a hell of a just an ass whipper. Kat, she did probably the best match I've seen out of her yet. New Gear, it was a lot. It was a lot of violence. Very proud of those two. Main event, women on a main event at a Southern Wrestling card. Could not have been happier with going to that. Always good to see my friends there. And then we went someplace special on Sunday, something we haven't done. Last time we went out to this place, we took your grandsons.
Yeah. We headed up the road, went to Colbert, Georgia, UWF. It's a fun show, man. Sundays, that's becoming more and more of a trend. Our Sunday shows, we're seeing them more and more often, and so hey, we can try to do this. Makes my life difficult because that's typically grocery / laundry / errand day. So I always try to have to get it all done beforehand.
Yeah,
but it was worth the ride for sure. What I love about UWF is we've talked in the past about shows having a role, and UWF, they put on a really good show. It's a small show, but it's a good show.
Yeah.
Sit right up. Look, it's a great value for a Sunday show. That's what my take is. Look, they've got guys you're going to see guys who are learning and younger talents. Alexander Lev was on the card. Lots of other young talents as well.
NWA talent.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you're going to see guys like Curtis Coleman,
yes,
Nick Kalen, Jacob Ashworth, like guys who have been around and they're there to help teach these young kids. And I think that's the value is completely there. And that's what I think sometimes gets overlooked. A lot of people are like, oh, it's a small show and blah, blah, blah. They say whatever they want to say. And I'm like, yeah, but these young talents are learning from some of these guys that are better than them, like helping elevate them and bring them up. And I think that's why it's such a important place to have. So
I think Jacob Ashworth is a cornerstone of wrestling in Georgia. I think a lot of promotions can basically be built around him. He's popular, he's solid, he's a great worker, and he's a great leader. You just can't get over the impact of what he does and for a promotion in that part of Georgia. It's a great value to get to go to a show. What's it cost to go to a movie now, Nick?
I think it's like the one by my house. It's like 15 and some change.
Okay, so for $10, and I went in. I got 2 drinks and a popcorn was $4.50. So I spent that was $15, and I gave you the water. So myself, I spent $13.
I mean, it's like I said, it's for the dollar. Wrestling I put up against anything on a regular basis. An indie show is well worth it. You're going to get, as much time as you're going to get in a movie. But yeah, I think, look, again, just everything. Look, and it shows like like this past weekend is a great example of what you find in Georgia if you try. Wow. Action, like their style is bell to bell, best wrestling in the ring, that kind of stuff. Southern Fried, I think, this is my personal opinion, take it for what it is, one of the best storytelling promotions that there are in the state of Georgia. So it's a totally different thing. UWF, solid, solid talents, developmental learning talents. So you're seeing some guys early in their career. But look, we all know how partial I am to Nick Kalen, right? Yeah. Nick Kalen's, crazy thing is, he's on 2 of those 3 cards this week.
Yeah.
He's going to be on a couple of the cards next week. It's just constantly. So it's not like people when they talk about these promotions, I'm like, dude, you're going to see some really good talents. Yeah. Curtis Coleman, like I said, is stellar. Jack to the gills. I mean, we're huge fans of his as well. So that's why I tell people you won't be disappointed in these shows. I mean, make it a weekend.
I tell you what, I think I am staying at the house this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch my Rumble, which is my favorite pay-per-view of the year, because the weekend after that, I'm going to spend the entire weekend with Sal Renaro. Okay. This is one of the this looks like February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th looks like one of the most awesome
Mm-hmm.
weekends in wrestling in this area. I think
Yeah.
people should be coming down to see this. February 2nd, Southern Honor. Show looks great.
Yeah.
Second, the 3rd, Southern Fried. Southern 4th, the 4th, Southern States Pro. All
Yeah.
of them Southern shows.
Yeah.
Uh,
Look, we're
Jimmy
gonna
Ray,
dive into all of those next week. We'll have more,
woo,
So
God,
definitely
I'm so
check out. We'll
excited.
load that weekend up for sure.
Sal on all shows.
Uh,
Sal Renaro, national treasure.
Hang out with your pal Sal all on that weekend, which we'll get
Yeah.
into. Like I said, we'll discuss a little more next week because obviously this weekend's Royal Rumble, which we're going to discuss here in a little bit as well, amongst other things. I've got funerals and stuff this weekend, so that's kind of, I'm out this weekend. I'm going to do Rumble on Saturday, and that's kind of it. I'm with you. But hey, that's some of the, we'll get the indie stuff out of the way because we knew we're about to go down the rabbit hole of, look, it's going to be a heavy WWE show. There is some notes that we got to go over about AEW, that is sure. But I don't know if you people were aware. Some news broke on Tuesday, so we knew we were going to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
And look, to me, I'm gonna turn into Myron for a second. Hyperbole. This is one of the biggest landscaping changing, announcements in pro wrestling since last year, when TKO was formed with the UFC merger. But no, what I see by this one changes wrestling, and we're going to go down a rabbit hole of things I think it changes and all that kind of stuff as well. But January 1st, 2025. And note, I want to throw some very things that were in these announcements. It said WWE Raw is moving to Netflix. Notice that it does not say WWE Monday Night Raw. We'll discuss that more in a little bit. WWE Raw is moving to Netflix. It's 10 years, $5 billion. We're going to go into some of the math in a minute. There's going to be a lot of that. Yeah. They can opt out after 5 years if they choose to. Netflix can. Or the one that interests me the most was they can extend it up to 10 years if they choose to as well.
10 more years. So 15
10.
years.
That's what I'm saying. 10 more years. So it's 20 years total they have the rights to kind of control. And that is just wacky to me. A lot of people were surprised. Well, okay, first of all, let's get into them moving into streaming. That had been out there for a while, right? We had heard Amazon, and everybody was talking Amazon.
Netflix was not really high on our list.
Netflix, dude, he put out, I will commend him. That post is 100% accurate.
Yeah.
No pro wrestling journalist, and I throw air quotes around that, nobody, period, had Netflix involved.
Yes.
It just came out of nowhere. I'm like, it just boom. Now, however, I do want to bring up, to them moving to streaming, people shouldn't be shocked for it. The Netflix, maybe. WWE's always been ahead of the curve. When cable became a thing, they were one of the early move over. Pay-per-view became a thing, they were one of the big move. They jumped into that for first. That when the streaming period came along, I mean, look, they jumped out there and made the WWE Network.
Yep.
They always, and I say this, because people always want to push me when I talk about the business side of WWE. They always seem to be ahead of the curve. They're not following; they're ahead of the curve and getting out of front and stuff. Vince McMahon, and I know this wasn't him, but Vince McMahon always had the balls to say, "We're going to lead the charge."
He had the grapefruits.
Yeah. But look. It was a great day. The stock shot up to about 22% up.
Remember when
it
they
leveled
went
off.
publicly traded? Remember when a wrestling company went publicly traded? Okay, think about it, Nick. This is a wrestling company, professional wrestling, that is going publicly traded. That's gone to streaming. That's the networks. All the things they've done. I'm just amazed that they have set the standard for live sports for so many years. And I didn't see Netflix coming. I thought everything else but Netflix. But are there any other live sports on Netflix?
They've done some Formula One stuff on there. It's not like a regular thing, but they have aired races on there. So it's not like they've never done it, but this is a huge commitment to go to 52 weeks a year, whatever night they choose to, and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, but look, that's the Netflix positives. The WWE positives is, we've kind of heard and we've made this comment before. Has WWE maxed out its growth in the United States? The biggest opportunity for them to continue growing, because if you ain't growing, you're dying, like in the business world. That's that simple. So globally, internationally, that's where the potential is. So, and this is where the math is going to come into some things as well. Like a lot of people are like, oh, they paid $500 million a year to get Raw, on the, it's like, no, it's not exactly the math. Globally, if they don't have a deal, it's essentially it's in other countries. Netflix will have NXT, Raw, Smackdown, the PLEs, and everything. Now, there are some markets that they're going to have to honor all of their current television rights deals.
Yeah, India has a distribution deal because India is
the
second biggest wrestling market in the world. India loves wrestling. But if you have a VPN, you can just watch everything on Netflix because you can get rid of region locks.
That's a whole argument in itself. So, yes. But so the growth there is now in those countries, they're going to have all of the products on one service. Netflix will be able to have, so there's the potential to grow the audience in those other markets. That's a huge one. I mean, we're talking like 260 million subscribers in 100-something country, whatever it was that they have available. So that's growth, people. That's the big thing here.
There were a couple things we touched on, and a couple things I read in my research. Netflix is not focusing on new subscribers. Netflix is focusing on price increases, getting rid of password sharing, and ad revenue. So they want to retain people, and in order to retain people and raise prices, they have to increase content. They have to give you something better. So they look to move into the live sports market. Wrestling is a good choice. Guess what potentially comes along with wrestling one day? MMA.
Could happen.
Yeah. And what did you tell me about content regulations in other countries, Nick?
Well, part of the thing, look, this is such a very minute advantage, but it's an advantage in my opinion, that content, is controlled in other countries, in the sense of, it's weird. Some European countries, you can show full frontal nudity, but you can't say certain words, and then certain acts of violence can't be aired and that kind of stuff. So all that being said, it eliminates all that because it's on a subscriber streaming service. They don't have to worry about the show being edited and cut down and all that kind of stuff or whatever. So that to me is like that's a plus for them. But also, by the way, let's go ahead and get into the other one that's everybody's. You brought up the ads. When you, by the way, I have the ad version of Netflix. I do. I'm cheap, so I see ads. Here's the key to this: the longer the thing you're watching is, the more ads are going to be in there. So having a 2+, and I'm doing this specifically for a reason, a 2+ hour show like a movie, there's more ads than there are. If you're watching a 43-minute episode of Suits, like the wife and I are binge watching Suits, there's less commercials in Suits than if we get, you know what I'm saying? Like, because there's just more time for more stuff. But so now that'll lead me into the next thing I want to ask you about. We had this conversation about everybody immediately pushes back is, well, are they going to keep it 3 hours? And I was like, what does it matter?
They're going to keep it whatever length they need to tell a story. We were talking about it. Think about it. You ever watch those Marvel series? You ever watch anything on the Star Wars series? I love Mando. You watch any of the Clone Wars type things. The episodes are whatever length it is to tell the story. if they need 4 hours, it can be 4 hours. Now,
Oh,
if they
please
need
God, no, yeah.
if they need 45 minutes, it can be 45 minutes. Whatever length they need to tell. Imagine the night before Mania, the SmackDown before Mania being 6 hours. Or not, sorry.
No.
But that's in the future. But the Raw before Mania could be 4 hours.
No, it cannot. Here's my take. I'm going the opposite direction. We already bitch and complain that 3 hours is too much. But here's the major but. What I meant by cutting it back, Raw could be 2 hours and 32 minutes. Okay, the next week it could be 2 hours and 47 minutes. It could be 2 hours and 25 minutes the next week. Doesn't matter. You're not handcuffed by, hey, you got to fill 3 hours of the only person they got to answer to is Netflix. If Netflix says, hey, we want between 2.5 and 3, whatever's in between there, we don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
You're not having to do the shit we bitch about, filler.
Yeah.
You want filler? Air that shit on YouTube or something.
I feel sorry for the Viking Raiders. I mean, they got about another year to probably have a contract.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. I do agree. I think what it does for you, I don't think you have to get rid of anybody. I don't think you have to cut any of that shit. What I'm saying is, I think they can tighten it up. They don't have to. Look, we have all watched Raw and realized that shit was on the show to make it 3 hours.
Yeah.
That shit doesn't have to be on there. That doesn't mean you don't need all those people. You can just tighten it up. I promise you, there are matches that are 8 minutes that they're like, if we weren't filling 3 hours, we could go 5 or we could go 4, whatever. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you can tighten the ship up, and it helps creative not have to come up with 3 hours. By the way, apparently they're not going to run commercials. If you have a non-commercial, the ad-free version, they're saying they're not going to have commercials. And, like, does that mean I get extended headlock, rest holds? I said, no, they're probably going to run a WWEshop.com ad while I'm getting the commercial from Netflix. You're going to get a WWEshop.com, commercial.
Am I going to get picture-in-picture on something that doesn't have ads?
No.
Because I hate that. I hate that.
You're not getting picture-in-picture on Netflix. Yeah, I have the ad version. It's not coming. There's no fucking way.
But the hell, they dropped the damn the cheap ad-free plan.
It's because they're focused on profits, Myron. We had you just read that line yourself.
Yeah, but it was $11.99 to get Netflix without ad. Now the cheapest brand is $15.49.
Dude, be cheap. I'm cheap. $6.99. Ad version. Commercials aren't that big a deal. I promise you. You know that when you're not focused on the TV show anyway, and you're fucking around with your phone, wait till the commercial and fuck around on your phone. That's what I do.
Well, the thing is, I watch everything pretty much on the. I've got a 43-inch monitor down here, so I watch it all on my computer, sitting in this chair.
Okay, well then browse while the commercial's on another window.
I fuck around on the computer on the side.
That's my problem. So I have this whole argument with my wife all the time. By the way, we'll go down this rabbit hole. Get off your fucking phone if you're watching TV, because the next question out of your mouth is, "Oh, I gotta go. What happened? I don't know. Pay attention and you won't miss it." That's what the commercials are for. That's literally why I have completely reverted back to I embrace commercials. I wanted them gone forever. And when we watch DVR stuff, yeah, you can zip through it. But my thing on like now, if we're straight like on Netflix and stuff, the commercials come, that's when I'll check. If I'm going to check social media or something, that's when I do it. But anyway, so that just get the ad version, shave $9 a month off your bill, and shut the hell up. I mean, if it's that, because here's what they're doing to you, by the way. You can't do the model was always, hey, they release Suits on, and I'm making Suits up, by the way, because we're watching it currently. Hey, they release Suits on Netflix. Okay, sign up, binge watch it, and cancel. Well, shit, if Raw's 52 weeks a year, you can't cancel. If you want to watch Raw every week, you can't cancel. Let me rephrase that. So that's why I'm telling you to go from your $15.99 to your $6.99 model.
Well, you got to have it anyway. Yeah, so.
I mean,
hey, you watch a lot of TV with your wife?
I do.
See, I can't stand doing that.
But here's the thing: we find
I have to be in charge of TV. I don't have to be in charge of anything else, but I have to be in charge of TV.
I am in charge of it. Look, we have shows we watch together, and we have shows, like I have shows I watch and she has shows that she watches. Like when she gets on Netflix and turns The Crown on, I'm out.
Oh God, there's always some kind of shit like that. Call the midwife.
That's when you go out of the room. But here's the thing. But guess what? When I'm watching Echo or I'm watching, The Mandalorian, she's gone. But yeah, we'll sit down and binge watch 2 or 3 episodes of the Suits together, at night before we go to bed, type of thing.
All they do on those shows that they like or have babies and get diseases.
She doesn't watch any of that, so there's that. I mean, I will say that she doesn't watch any of that. So
it's the most horrible shit I've ever seen, Nick.
Look, I agree, I do, but look, back to the point at hand.
Sorry.
Part of the deal includes.
I guess I've got an axe to grind there.
Yeah.
That's why I come downstairs.
Part of the content deal is, look, there can be documentaries. They've talked like, hey, that thing they did with The Undertaker, the little interactive game they did with New Day, like they could do more stuff like that. The question, there is an overhanging question. It's October, it starts January 1st. The deal with USA for Raw is up October 1st. Like, what happens in that window?
Well,
because here's my question. If USA knows they're losing the show, why would they? I'm going out on a limb, by the way. I'm going to make a prediction. I think they extend through the end of the year.
I would think so too. I think so for one main reason, because they have Smackdown. There are a couple other. That's, to me, is the biggest possibility.
I think they're going to do an adequate job of promoting SmackDown moving from Fox to USA. But how cool would it be to have a 3-month transition where you're going to promote this show's leaving, but you're still going to have this? Look, I could be totally wrong, and I'm telling you that. If it were me, look, the only problem with that is we don't know what they're planning on if all they're planning on putting on Monday nights, they're just going to add SVU to another night. Because look, that's the lead up. No, it's actually, is it SVU or Chicago Fire? Doesn't matter. One of those shows leads up to Raw. If all they're going to do extend that out, we're going to add more of that in that window, then my argument is simply dude, just extend it. Buy you some promotional time that you're changing over, because I don't really know what else they do. Would there be any chance that Ross just takes a break?
No. They got 99 million YouTube subscribers. Okay, they've got the Peacock that has their PLE deal. It's not going to take a break. It has potential homes. And if nothing else, they might just pull it ahead and go ahead and take it and put it on Netflix. There's nothing to say they won't do that. Just give it to them. Give them a comp for a couple of months. Give them a place to be.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they move it to Peacock, because then, to me, if I'm WWE, that's confusing. Because you're gonna move to one streaming service, and then 3 months later you're gonna move to another one. My argument is, in the best interest of everybody, I think it's, look, you got a good relationship because you have Peacock and you have SmackDown on USA. So I think you've got that relationship there that I think, and WWE is like, hey, it's the status quo here on USA until we make the move to Netflix. Does that make sense? So I just think it benefits all parties to keep that. Whether I think that happens, I don't know, but that's my take on it.
I think it'll probably be USA. I think cross-branding it, and if you have to change anything, like a third party outside of USA or Netflix, I would go to YouTube to promote your YouTube presence, because
they don't particularly struggle there. So I'm not really sure that's a big.
I know, but it would help that kind of thing. But it'd get people to look at it. But then again, there's a problem with YouTube and YouTube on TV, which some people would have trouble with that. Yeah. So maybe that's a horrible thing. Or just go to Netflix earlier. Raw is not going to be on your television in some form.
If you're a wrestling fan, correct. Yeah. The only thing about the questioning at hand is then you brought up Nick Khan on Pat McAfee was a solid thing. By the way, to be as rich and as powerful of a person as he is, and it was funny, somebody asked, is Nick Khan the most influential personnel hire they've ever made?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But he comes off like a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a suit on, but he came off like a dude, just some cool dude.
Do you think when we went to Nukes after UWF with Heath, I would think Nick Khan could have been at that table with the three of us and been fine.
Yeah. So, but the question came up on there. This is what I wanted to ask. This is something, and this is Nick reading me reading between the lines of Nick Khan being on Pat McAfee. Had to be clear there for a minute. When asked, that now I'm going to call back to where I kept saying every press release said WWE Raw, WWE Raw. Nowhere was I reading Monday Night Raw. It was like, okay. So people asked, is Netflix going to keep it on Monday? Nick Khan's asked that question by Darius Butler, and his comment was, for now, it literally, I heard the words, for now, that is the plan. It's, we're going to keep it on, but then he goes, and then he proceeded to rattle off all of the NFL competition that they face on Monday nights. And when there's basketball championships and when there's NCAA championships and bowl, stuff like that, they're on Mondays. So there's always lots of competition on Mondays. And I'm sitting there in my head going, the man just gave you every reason why they should move off of Monday nights and go to another night. Mm-hmm. My prediction is, again, I don't know anything. I'm an idiot fan. I know. I think it moves. I don't think it's on Monday night.
I think it's probably going to move to Tuesday. That would be my choice.
Completely disagree.
Okay. Well, what night?
And NXT's on Tuesday.
Shit. Sunday night? Because I took the pay-per-views off.
Some of them are on Sunday. Some are on Mondays. Or Saturdays and
Sunday night would interfere with the NFL.
If you...
What's your night?
I started doing math. I think SmackDown probably stays on Fridays for now. If it goes to Thursdays, we'll see. I think it's Wednesdays.
What about
if I make my prediction?
Dynamite?
Dynamite's not their problem. That's not their show. They worry because they have to worry about SmackDown. They have to worry about NXT. And then they have to worry that on Saturdays and Sundays they have pay-per-views. If you're moving to avoid Mondays, you've narrowed it down to basically Wednesdays and Thursdays. Or Wednesdays and Fridays if...
I wouldn't want it too close to SmackDown. That would be my concern. I wouldn't want it too close to SmackDown because it would just be too much wrestling right up on top of each other for some people. I'm looking forward to just not having to worry about a DVR. I know YouTube TV DVR is real simple, but it's just going to be on Netflix. It's just there. I don't have to worry about it expiring after a while on my DVR if I ever need to go back and check a back episode or somebody says something I missed, or if I need some information. Think about
part 2 of that. If you miss Monday Night Raw on USA, you typically have to wait 24 hours. There's like a delay before it's on demand or on Hulu or whatever. Huh. Why would it be the case on Netflix? Shouldn't it be like instant? Like once it's aired and it's over, like I think it's like on some of it, like on Peacock, there's like a 5 or 10 minute, there's a minute where
Peacock, if you sometimes starting a pay-per-view midstream is a pain in the ass on Peacock. Like it can be a bitch and you can get all fucked up with it. So if I'm going to start a pay-per-view like that, I usually just wait till it's over.
I watch it live, but typically the dilemma you have is for some reason when it ends, the replays it's not like immediate. It's 10, 15, sometimes like a little bit of lag.
Well, I'm not missing the Rumble live. I'm going to be right here in this chair. I'm going to have a stack of Diet Coke.
You want me to make you jealous? The Royal Rumble is Rachel's favorite pay-per-view. Like we're going to watch it upstairs. She's like, we're going to get like pizza or Chinese or something. We're going to chill out on the couch and watch. She loves the Rumble.
I'd rather watch it alone. There's too much talking.
Oh no, she knows when we do wrestling. No, she knows. She's learned that lesson a long time ago. Yeah, that was.
Well, I've
But
watched pay-per-views with you before, back
yeah,
before we started doing this. You sit silently. I mean, you sit absolutely silently studying. Now, this was before we started doing the podcast.
yeah,
You were studying this stuff like you were taking notes for the podcast,
yeah. But
intently staring at it.
and I have been known to tell people to be quiet.
Yes,
When we had people over, I'm like,
I've been there.
oh yeah. So anyway, so look, lots of changes going on, but that's not the only change that happened, man. I mean, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he is a member of the board of directors for TKO out of the blue. By the way, let's not forget he's boys with Nick Khan. So now we're gonna go through like who. Somebody asked me why, like what do both, and I'm like, look, it's a win-win. There's stuff for both sides. For one, $30 million worth of stock for The Rock.
Is this not the greatest American success story? Vince McMahon
Yeah.
from a trailer park, Nick Khan from Wheel of Fortune to go to law school, Triple H makes himself in the wrestling business. Rock's dad pretty much left him, and he had to work his way up through the wrestling business. And now they're four of the most powerful men ever in entertainment business. How insane is that, Nick? And
Look,
now Rock just got richer. Holy
He
shit,
merged his
it's big.
XFL with the USFL, and Fox kind of has the majority of that, but he's still involved. He's on the board of directors now for TKO. And they did give him, by the way, I think the big kicker ever, I think this is I don't think this is as big a deal. I know most people do. I do not. They gave him his IP for The Rock. He can now be The Rock. Bischoff brings up a great point. Rock's not getting any more movies because now he can call himself The Rock. I mean, he's the movie star. He is what he is at this point. He's The Rock. There's the win for WWE is, I think, they may, in this trade-off, they get a new merchandise, promotional, and services contract out of him. What that means is, if he's on the board of directors and he's all in, like, he's invested.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to promote WWE. It's not going to be, this thing that I used to do because I used to think for the most part, it sounded almost disingenuous. Oh, I love wrestling. It's what it's I'm where I'm at or whatever. I just don't ever fucking go over there and do anything with it.
Yeah.
Now, you want my take on it? And this is a hot take. This is almost a Stephen A. Smith hot take. I think The Rock's career was in a little bit of trouble. I think he needed this. He's made a couple bombs, like everybody shredded Black Adam. The XFL thing lost money. And look, I knew it would the first year. I didn't get, but I think it financially he was probably worried. The merger thing kind of bailed him out of that. Like, I think he kind of thinks, let me go back to my roots. Let me get my wrestling fan base and pull them back in. They love me, but let's really make them love me again. Oh, yeah. And here's the avenue.
So he was getting about $500,000 a year on royalties.
Makes sense.
This deal easily will double that. So that's $1 million a year of income for the rest of his life, pretty much.
Could be even better than that.
Yeah, easily. He got $300 million in stock. He's on the board. He's probably going to be at Mania. He's going to be a higher profile WWE guy. We get more of what we love, The Rock, and we get somebody we trust, a familiar face that's going to make more people want to look at WWE because he's going to be out there promoting it because he has a personal interest in it now. $30 million worth of stock is a lot of money. So you're going to want that stock to go up so it becomes $60 million.
Right.
Okay. And you got your daughter down there at the Performance Center, or not at NXT. I haven't really ever got to see her wrestle that much.
She's the new GM. How crazy is that? Like,
I'm behind.
Your dad's named to the board. No, so last night they announced.
I didn't see.
By the way, you ready for this? William Regal came out and announced she's the new general manager of NXT. I'm like, so your dad's announced on the board of directors, and the next night you're the new general manager of, and I was like, okay, let's see where they're going.
She's on my list of Royal Rumble surprise entrants.
Could be, absolutely could be. Look, I think, look, he did, by the way, he tweeted out, like, if him, or no, it was in an interview, sorry, First Take. You know, he teased a potential WrestleMania match with him and Roman, and that it could be the biggest WrestleMania match of all time, kind of thing, or whatever. Could it be? Sure. He had the tweet about being the head of the table when he's talking about his coming back and all that kind of stuff. So look, there's a lot of stuff going on there. My take in the grand scheme of things of Rock gets his proprietary, he gets the IP back, $30 million worth of stock. He's on the board of directors. But the WWE gets a deal out of him where I feel like now he's invested to, like you said, he's there to, he's going to promote now, and he's going to try to make something out of it. But look, he's The Rock.
He's going to show up. He's going to show up around the world. He's going to show up in your country, shaking hands. Okay. Remember when the John Cena learned Chinese and showed up over there? That was great. But imagine The Rock touring Europe.
Yeah.
Being The Rock.
Tons of stuff.
Netflix
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
God almighty.
There's some leverage there. If he's involved, does he get Netflix exclusive movies and cut? Because he didn't they have the one him, Ryan Reynolds, and Gail Gadot, whatever however she pronounces her name. They did it. It was like a thief movie that they did. They did it on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it. I apologize. I watched it. It was pretty good, actually. I just can't remember the name of it. But that's the kind of stuff, like, that's the leverage this deal brings to the table.
If I was Vin Diesel, I would be so happy because they're going to be making Fast and Furious movies.
You never know, man. They had didn't they have the Falling Out? He's not in those anymore.
Man.
Yeah. You're disconnected. You don't watch fast movies, do you?
No.
He's like, no.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, they don't. He hasn't done the last couple. Like, that's why they brought John Cena in. Is because The Rock went out. So,
okay, well,
but however, being all tied together, I think. Here, think about this. Netflix needs a movie, Myron. Hey, we need to do a low budget movie with for an action star or whatever. And it, by the way, WWE raises their hand and goes, "We have The Miz.
Yep,
he's the king of that. You it's like you could, he'll do it. He'll make a movie. And by the way, Endeavor has the talent agency to negotiate it all.
We need a lot of attractive female extras. NXT.
We need an action movie, but we want a female lead who's super tough and can pull the role off. WWE raises their hand and goes, "We have a laundry list of those over here."
Yeah, we need some ninjas.
They're like they're just like, "Hey, look at our roster, pick one." Yeah. We can get you a good deal. We can get you a good deal on it. By the way,
they're trained in combat.
We can actually write them off of TV, so it's not an issue for a little while.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's a lot of stuff. But look, I know when this stuff happened, like Netflix was on nobody's radar. If there was bets going on about it, Myron, I clearly tell you nobody, or they were a long shot. And I would not even imagine this was on the betting board. No. This was not even on the list of things to bet on. Yeah.
But where would you have been able to bet?
So this weekend is the big championship weekend for the NFL. You're coming down to the end on as far as your football bets. Over at our friend at Prize Picks, lock them in. You've only got to focus on 2 games this week. 2 games. It's championship weekend in the NFL. So I always recommend heading over to the app, Prize Picks, or go to the website at prizepicks.com.
You still working on this?
It's 2 minutes to kickoff. Who do I pick?
2 words, Prize Picks. It's so easy. Prize Picks is daily fantasy sports made easy. It's just you against the numbers. Simply pick the over-under on 2 or more players, and that's it. You can win up to 10 times your money in just one day. Join over 150,000 people who found a better way to play. Download the Prize Picks app today and get your first deposit match up to $100.
That's right, man. Check out our friends over at Prize Picks. Like I said, look, it's not the crazy thing is it never ends. Football season may be coming to an end, but you still are going to have NBA. Baseball will be here before you know it. Hockey's going on, so you got all kinds of stuff that you can get in on. Believe it or not, Myron, you can do even esports over there.
Ooh.
So maybe your wheelhouse that you can get in that you can watch them.
I tell you, I don't want to. I don't want to show how I'm disconnected from anything else, like I am the Fast and the Furious. But I don't even know what the hell esports are.
Yeah, you do. They play Counter-Strike and all of that. They play those esports games where you could literally bet on the number of kills that a guy's going to get in a like a Counter-Strike game and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to. I don't know how big of a nerd you got to be down that rabbit hole of.
I'm a nerd.
But yeah, go down that rabbit hole, man. But listen, before we get too far, we're running out of time. But we still wanted to make sure. We don't typically recap stuff that happened on Raw. That's usually not our thing. But two things happened on Raw that we both were like, dude, we have to address this going into the Rumble. Whoa. And I'll let you start, man. Cody Rhodes and CM Punk.
Wow. Those promos were the two of them. I'm more CM Punk than you. I'm more Cody Rhodes than you. And they were probably right the way that was handled, Nick. How that promo was carried off at such a high level, and you could have taken that. It's almost like you could have cut that promo out and set it back 30 years in time, and it'd have been fine. Just change some names around. It was written well. It was executed well. For a minute, you didn't give two shits about whatever this Cody story he was finishing was. All you cared about was right there in the ring and the chemistry they had. You didn't care if he ever was going to see Roman Reigns again. You were just concerned about him and CM Punk right then, right there.
What's crazy, Myron? I was listening to that to a friend of the show. We watched that promo, and we were listening to it over YouTube, and it was funny because the person said, "Are they fighting at Rumble?" And I'm like, "Nah, they're both in the Rumble." And he was like, "I swear by that promo, I would have thought these two had like they were fighting." And I'm like, "No, they are fighting." That's the beauty. They're fighting for what they perceive as one spot, the winner of the Rumble. And it's like they're going at each other. And they made it personal in the sense of basically like, I'm more of your dad than you are. And then Cody coming back and essentially, this is my translation of the promo at the end. I'm more like your father than you are. Cody comes back with, yeah, well, I am everything you claim to be. All the shit you said in that pipe bomb that you were going to do, I'm the one who actually went and did it. You took your ball and went home, and you didn't even do the right thing by the business. You just left. So I'm more you. I'm more what you claim to be than you are. And I was like,
you're doing it.
Yeah, I've actually been doing what you said you were going to do. And Punk's hours just, I'm more like your dad than you are. And I was like, okay, that was pretty good. Even to all the way down to the face-to-face. Super job by those two. And again, we don't talk too much about like, hey, this happened on Raw. That's not kind of our wheelhouse. But then, also on the same exact show, Gunther and Seth Rollins have a promo. And it's little things. By the way, first foremost, what I enjoyed about it, these two promos were completely different styles.
Yes.
Because here's what typically happens. By the way, a lot on indie shows. But then even more so on the big shows. Identical things happen, two different segments. It's basically like, dude, I literally just watched this with two other guys. But these two promos, even as effective they were, totally different styles. Seth Rollins, like cutting his promo, he poured his heart out. Gunther, comes out and you're like, oh shit. And even Seth acknowledges what we're all thinking, right? Seth is like, listen, if this is where you're going to come out here, make an example out of me, basically kick my ass, I don't have time for this. Let's just do this and get this over with. And then Gunther surprises everybody by like, don't worry about them. Worry about me. But then proceeds, by the way, the amazing thing is, build Seth Rollins up to be a stud. Like, you're a classy champion. You're a fighting champion. You're one of the best wrestlers. I mean, basically just build Seth up to only say, but I'm going to beat you. Because Eric Bischoff brings up, look, by the way, I will say this, kudos to AEW. Recently, they did this with Hook and Samoa Joe.
Yes.
Build your opponent up to make him somebody.
Yes.
Stop shitting all over your opponent and making him seem like he's a nobody, because then when he beats you, you got beat by a nobody, or even if you beat him, you beat a nobody.
Yes.
If Seth gets beat by Gunther has told the world how great Seth Rollins is, so Gunther looks even better.
See, now Seth's hurt, but he knows Gunther's waiting on him. Gunther's got his own title. He'll be defending that. But he knows when Seth is back, he's going to come take his title. He's waiting on him. His whole rehab process, there's this guy that's going to be waiting on him to come back. You don't have to worry about the fact that Seth's hurt with the title. You don't have to worry about booking a storyline or taking the belt off of him or anything else, because now you've got Gunther in a spot making you look better, making Gunther the baddest heel there is, this super traditional, evil, plotting heel. I was stunned. I was just stunned.
But they've added a layer. Because, hey, as of last week, CM Punk was the guy that was going to win the Rumble and challenge Seth Rollins. Yep. Now Gunther's saying he's going to win the Rumble. We got Cody saying he's going to win and challenge Roman. Hell, we've got Rock coming in. Apparently, we're not even sure if Rock's going to come in. And I will tell you where we're at, which is great. This is where I kind of almost want to end it almost here. We have no clue. We're at an era where it's not just mapped out. We can look at it and go this is what's going to happen. Even those people that, it's so predictable. Yeah, you're going to say it after you find out that, I knew that all along. No, you don't. Right now, people don't know what the fuck's going to happen.
This is the exact equivalent of the Netflix thing. I can look at it all day long, and I'm not going to see it coming. I don't know what's going to happen at the Rumble. There could be a total dark horse coming in. The people I've got picked to show up in the Rumble, I picked all these names, and it's I don't know. Maybe that person's coming, maybe they're not. I don't know.
Who's going to win's the question.
Who's going to win? Because there are going to be fights. There's going to be storylines in the Rumble. Punk and Cody are going to find each other across the ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay? And start something. And then Gunther's going to step up to stop them so he can win. There's going to be these little storylines, and we're not going to find out what's going to happen on Smackdown to set it up until Friday. So there's going to be all these little storylines woven into the Rumble, which is just a damn giant battle royal anyway.
But here's the question. Who wins? On your emotion right now, you got to pick who wins the Rumble.
Cody, because he goes back to back, because there's no...
I'm 100% with you. I think Cody's got to win. He's got to finish the story. I think, we're going to find out at Rumble, because hell, that 4-way match, somebody else may win, and then that changes everything, right? What if Randy Orton pins AJ Styles or LA Knight? Roman's not champion anymore. And then where do we go? I can make the argument Cody wins. Randy beats AJ or LA Knight, becomes the champion. Cody wins. He challenges Randy. Roman goes off to fight Rock at Mania. Punk and Seth still have their match somehow, some way we get there. Because the rumor is Brock Lesnar is going to return at the Rumble potentially, and he's going to challenge Gunther at Mania for the Intercontinental title. Tons of things can happen. Time will tell. But I will tell you this, Myron. Look, some of the discussions are, the other big news, look, this is total rumor and innuendo, half-ass internet research, whatever you want to call it. Everybody is saying Okada has finished, obviously, well, he has finished up with Japan. That's not even rumor. That's true. But he has chosen NXT/WWE over AEW. He's going to go start in NXT. Main reason everybody's been feeding out there is he wants to wrestle at WrestleMania.
He's my first Royal Rumble surprise. Okay, he's my surprise entrant. You have to come to NXT. You have to learn how to work a WB style. This is me just saying what I've heard and based it on what I've heard and looked at based on Nakamura, based on Finn Balor and some of these other guys that have come in from Japan. Because you were saying, let's work 60 minutes in Japan and make a story versus let's work 15 minutes in America, and that's way too long and we need to go shorter, because people have lower attention spans and we got to get commercial breaks in there and stuff. So they got to learn how to work the style. And NXT is a really good place. I don't know if Okada can speak English. I don't know. I think if you go into AEW, you're lost among all the super talents. You're not going to stand out. They've got all these great talents having great matches, but you can have great matches in Japan. You didn't leave Japan to have great matches. You have great matches there. You leave Japan to be on WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the greatest wrestling event in the world for a reason. The spectacle. You can't duplicate that anywhere in the world. No one else has anything like that. If he wants to wrestle on that, he's come to the right place. And I can't blame him, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if it pans out. I think, look, there's a lot. I think if he goes to AEW, it's all dream match scenarios, angle. I think hopefully we'll see what happens. I still think at Mania, could he get there? I think he probably does a Mania next year if he goes there, not this year. We'll see. But look, you've got AJ, you've got Finn. If Finn's contract's up, there's a whole bunch of stuff there, but we'll see. But look, it's a big blow to AEW. I completely think that is the case if he doesn't go there. But look, other big news coming out this week. AEW is going to bring back the ranking system. Per Brian Alvarez, and Dave Meltzer on The Observer, it was CM Punk's decision, or, he was the one who kind of influenced Tony Khan to get rid of the rankings. Look, I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan. We all are fully aware of that. However, this was probably one I would take his side in that battle. I'm just not a fan of the ranking system. I'm just not.
Because it's professional wrestling. And you can't put a ranking system on professional wrestling. What was the Bischoff quote? I'm the one quoting Bischoff on this. Creative and mathematics don't mix. I've never met this is Myron, I've never met a mathematician that was creative. And I've never met a creative person that was good at math.
That's true. That is very true. I agree with that 100%. That's typically is the case. The only thing I'm going to wonder is, I don't know that the rankings don't bother me, but the record thing bothers me. Like keeping up with the records and he's 12-0. Yeah, but if he's beat nobody, what does that 12-0 mean? By the way, if college football's taught us anything, Liberty's undefeated and they're ranked 23rd or some crazy shit like that. Like all wins aren't equal.
I thought
if you're going to give me a top 10, Myron, don't even explain to me how you got there. Just give me your top 10.
If you book wrestling for money, you book wrestling to draw money, not to have dream matches. Am I wrong? I thought the purpose of wrestling was to make money.
Well, look, there's the creative people, and so there is some dream matches. I get that concept, and the hope is that those things lead you to making money. That's the ultimate concept. I mean,
we'll talk.
By the way, are you sure that's what Tony Khan's trying to do?
No, I don't think Tony Khan is. I think Nick Khan is.
But that's two different scenarios. That's a whole different argument. I think ultimately, Myron, what it boils down to when you're talking about the creative and the math, when it comes to creative, I just think it adds a level of stress that creative doesn't need. Because if your rankings and your records matter, I always envision in your creative offices, you've got to have that shit up on the whiteboard or something that you keep in mind, because you're as you're doing a storyline, you're looking up and going wait. That doesn't make sense with the ranking. Stop adding headache to these guys because they're already stressed out. and spread thin with 3 shows that you've got.
Okay, and on top of that, so you've got a problem in the locker room. 2 guys have a problem in the locker room, but the rankings say they're supposed to fight. But you can't do that because there's a problem. So you got to move somebody around. But the next guy that you need to work is ranked 13th, but he needs to move up to think of. This is a squared circle jerk. Okay, there is no way you can make this work. It's not.
It can be done. I just don't think it'll be done.
I hate to say something invalidates professional wrestling and questions its credibility, but this questions the credibility of professional wrestling when you have to book around something.
Again, I think it can be, but the door you open is the second you don't follow it, you open yourself up to the criticism for not following it. That's where I see the problem, if that makes any sense. The rankings matter. If you tell me the rankings matter, and if the records matter and all that, you then are just basically entrenched in like, okay, we have to follow this for everything to make sense.
You're holding yourself to a standard that you might not always be able to keep up with.
An unnecessary standard.
Yes. Wrestling has never worked on this kind of thing before.
Yeah.
You tried
100%.
it, and CM Punk said throw it out.
And he probably said sell it out because you were in scenarios.
You just went.
I'm guessing, Myron, it was in a creative meeting when they were talking about and he was like, fuck this. Like, we need around this. Like, just get rid of it so we don't have to concern ourselves with that.
And you just threw it out.
Yeah.
And then you go right back to it.
No, I don't know, man. Look, that's tough take. And look, while we're discussing before we get out of here, we do want to mention AEW. How does this whole Netflix thing affect them? We had this great debate. I know we're running low. We're going to try to keep this short, but now AEW doesn't have the pressure of WWE trying to sign with Warner Brothers Discovery. So that, by the way, to me, that Warner Brothers Discovery lost leverage with AEW. Yeah. They could have came to AEW with a deal that they probably like, hey, we'll keep you, but only for this number.
Yes.
And then if you don't like that, we'll just go sign them. Okay, well, that's off the table now. So now AEW, the only problem that I have, there's this big contract within the NBA that's out there. It may cost Warner Brothers Discovery a shit ton of money to keep it, and they may just decide we're out of the wrestling business.
If Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't get the NBA, I don't think there's any problem with them signing them. I think they'll go after them with everything. I also think Warner Bros. Discovery won't have enough money to throw around for just a lot of silly stuff because they won't be getting the advertising revenue if they don't get the NBA.
Look, they've got longer because they have another year beyond. So you remember their contract with them is longer, right? So my question was the leverage that Warner might have. What if they say, hey, they're on a streaming service. We don't want you on linear television anymore, but you can go on Max. We'll pay you to be on Max and not on TV. Whatever that money value is, like they come to that. They could get NBA, because here's the thing. Okay, so let me back up. They sign NBA to a bigger deal. They're not going to keep AEW at all. AEW then has to go out to the market and shop around and find a network home, and they find out it's shit deal galore out there for them because they felt like, hey, you've lost your network, you're a damaged product. Or, which might not be true, or what if that Warner Brothers Discovery says, look, we're not going to pay you kind of what we have been, or even if there's no bump, we'll pay you what we've been paying you, but we just want all of your shows exclusive to Max. You want to hear the crazy one? My comeback if I'm AEW is, do I have to be live? Can we record in a studio like, in smaller venues, pre-recorded, and then you release it out on, is that an option? Because if it's less money, they're going to have to cut costs. Or if it's the same amount of money and there's no growth, they're probably going to have to cut costs. Or Dynamite and Collision are live, Rampage is whatever. Or if me personally, I would just go, fuck it. Dynamite's live, Rampage and Collision, you record like the next night, and then that airs that Friday and Saturday or something like that.
I would scrap Rampage altogether, run Dynamite live, and then record Collision as a studio show.
Make Rampage a Ring of Honor show, and they'll put it on the Max too. So then you'll kind of have two products. Blah 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 blah.
Have
blah.
you an NXT?
Yeah, whatever, something to that effect. But look, I would love to know what people think. Like, look, this is a massive landscaping deal. Like as far as landscape changing, you now have network CW, NXT, cable USA has SmackDown coming, Netflix has and look, it's CW. Look, CW app has NWA. Dynamite is on the the Turner products, the TNT, TBS. I mean, it's all over the place now. But I just think in the future, I think potentially Netflix has all of it everywhere.
Oh yeah,
if the deal works out.
In reality TV too. Imagine Real Housewives of the WWE. Dude, they're going to be there is so much money in reality TV because it's so cheap to produce.
This is the ultimate landscape change of when they signed Endeavor and they have that talent agency to get in bed with somebody who needs content just constantly.
Feed them. Just feed Netflix.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me. I 100% agree. But anyway, that's, look, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Let us know what your thoughts are on everything we had to discuss today. But look, I did not forget. We went out of order a little bit, but I am going to come back and say, look, we always love to do our pro wrestling tees shirt of the week. This week we went outside the box. I saw this design as I was just kind of browsing through, and I couldn't help it. Look, it's Steph DeLander, Deathmatch Busters, the show that look Ghostbusters, parody shirt, look awesome. Look, it made me trigger the pizza cutter. I thought of AEW when I saw it. So that's again Steph DeLander, ProWrestlingTees.com shirt of the week, man. It popped me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It popped me when I saw it. So look, that's everything that we have for the week. But before we get out of here, Myron, we always want to remind everybody, YouTube.com. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, turning your notifications on, all that good stuff, so you catch it every single week. And then of course, look, podcasts. Apple Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Amazon Music, Spotify. Look, Google Podcast is in the corner, but I got an email this week saying Google Podcast is going away. So they're taking that place. There'll be YouTube Music over there. Anywhere, anyways, that you're listening to the podcast, make sure you're subscribing. Give us a 5-star rating review if you feel so inclined. We greatly appreciate that. But look, man, we knew the show was going to go a little bit longer. Ooh. Tons of stuff. Anything else, man? It's times are changing. That's for sure.
I have not enjoyed and been so excited about doing a show and got so excited while doing a show in a long time. Wow.
Lots of news. And look, there's probably going to be more stuff coming out this week. That's why it's important that you do sign up over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/tappedoutpod.
It's been a really good show.
The what?
It's been a good show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. Oh. But you want to make sure you're over there because, look, as details come out, there'll probably be more audios that are exclusive, afterward. So it'll keep you up to date as little things change over the next few days. I'm sure more details will come out, But look, who would have thunk it in our lifetime, Myron? There's going to be a wrestling program live on a streaming service.
Dude, I used to watch the old shows that they sent out. I never watched anything live. I used to get the old show, the
old syndicated shows,
where you knew they had to tape them months in advance. If you could keep up with the storyline, you were lucky. And now I get click, and I'm watching wrestling from around the world. I never saw any of this coming as a child. How will my kid? God, I don't think my kids will watch wrestling. But maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
You never know. But look, man, lots of stuff, but we're going to get out of here. Like I said, make sure you're subscribing. We greatly appreciate everybody checking us out this week. We greatly appreciate it. You got anything else before we get out of here?
No, I do not.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing, you've got nothing. What time is it?
Time to tap out.